In a remote desert, there was a primal village named Hamoria. Its people lived by a unique set of norms and standards. Men there were only allowed to eat bitter and sour, deeming sweetness as taboo. Knights were forbidden to fall in love, believing it softened their hearts, unfit for the ruthless soldiers they were meant to be. Prince Amir, the head of the village, with a skin kissed by the sun and a heart of a brave knight, had sworn an oath to protect his people. Born into a legacy of warriors, Amir embodied the strength of a mighty soldier. One scorching day, while Amir was patrolling the outskirts of Hamoria, keeping it safe, Amir spotted a distant figure on the horizon. His trained eyes spurred him to action. Approaching, he found a young lady lying in the mud, injured and breathing heavily. Her eyes were begging him to save her, although she never spoke a word. Presence stirred emotions in him, emotions that he had long forgotten. He mounted her on his horse, racing back to Dr. Hakim for treatment. In the treatment room, their eyes met again, and Amir felt a profound connection, an arrow through his heart. He tried to resist, reminding himself of his duty, but his willpower wavered. The lady was confused as to why he was staring at her, so she lashed out at him, labeling him a barbarian. Amir left the room in silence, grappling with his newfound emotions. In realizing the mistake he had made, the taste of sweetness has returned to him, and Amir slapped himself, reminding himself of the oath and the duty he has to carry out for his people. Later that night, Amir began questioning his long-held beliefs and yearned for the forgotten taste of sweetness he once tasted as a kid, all thanks to Lanaya's captivating eyes. But despite his inner turmoil, his heart decided to make peace with his mind at last. The next day, Lanaya apologized for her rudeness and expressed her gratitude for saving her. But Amir was unused to such kindness, so he ignored her words and cut her dead. However, Amir couldn't just let go of her, so he decided to keep her as a hostage, serving her needs but denying her freedom. Day by day, Lanaya's feelings for Amir deepened. Despite being his hostage, she saw qualities in him that no other man had possessed. Qualities like bravery, responsibility, relentlessness, but best of all, his gentle heart. She could sense that child behind that tough mask he had put on, although she could not fathom why he had resisted her in the first place, suspecting he had emotions for her, as he'd kept her for months in her solitude. One day, Lanaya grew tired of the situation, so she devised a plan to seduce Amir by feigning severe illness around midnight and demanding to see Amir before she dies. Amir broke in the room like thunder, and as he was close enough the distance to check up on her, she grabbed him by her legs and kissed him, urging him to embrace what he had been missing. Amir succumbed to her words and warmth, accepting his first ever defeat. Amir's world crumbled the next morning, awaking to a cacophony of screams that echoed through Hamoria. The town was under ruthless invasion. With his sword in hand, Amir rushed into battle, battling fiercely and prevailing at last. But the price of his momentary lapse was steep. Half of his people were now casualties, and he could only point the finger of blame at himself. However, the realization soon dawned upon him that his defeat had not solely been the result of his lapse in vigilance that fateful night. It was the very moment he gazed into Lanaya's eyes. Her eyes pierced his soul, kept seeping into his inside until his grim resolve was shattered. It was that very damn day he had met her that his downfall had truly begun. The anger surged within him, knowing that her eyes, that he had very much loved, became his Achilles' heel. Amir's fury knew no bounds. His heart, once captivated by Lanaya, was now consumed by rage. He coldly ordered her banishment, resolved to erase her presence from his life. He even gave secret instructions to his commander to eliminate anyone involved in her departure, ensuring her whereabouts would forever remain a mystery. Lanaya, her voice raw with desperation, pleaded for clemency. "You love me," she cried. "You cannot do this. Please don't banish me. I know you love me. You can lock me away forever, but do not do this to me." He looked her in the eyes and said, "Your eyes made me weak, Lanaya, and I was born to be heartless. I can't afford to be weak. Maybe in a different reality, we could have become a family. together. But not in this one. You costed me more than I can afford already. You understand? You think it's because I hate you that I'm doing this? Not a matter of love, my dear. I have to let you go so my heart and mind will be set free again. I'm in a prison as long as I know you're around me. When I know you're gone, and only when I know you're gone, that I can retrieve the old me and keep my home safe. My heart shall forever be in agony for letting you go, but I guess it's the cost of tasting the forbidden fruit. An ever so persisting desire, and a perpetual unfulfillment.